welcome to this edition of the Big Blue in the Bronx podcast. On this Friday, the 27th of November, we're almost out of 2020, people. It's so great. But we're not out of football season yet. Unfortunately, it's going to end in about 6 weeks. But we have a long way to go before that. And we don't know if our season's going to be over in 6 weeks because we are in playoff contention. Yes, we are in playoff contention. We'll be playing meaningful football if the Giants win this Sunday. So let's get right into it. So first off is the injury report. I'm not going to really do a stock up, stock down thing because I have a couple other things to talk about. So for the injury report, last 2 days before today, James Bradbury had a family situation, so he was excused from practice. Played today, so he's going to be going for Sunday. Sterling Shepard limited with a hip and a toe injury. He's going for Sunday. Kevin Zeitler, full practice. Remember, he left that Eagle game with a concussion. He's going to be active on Sunday. Graham Gano, he returned to practice today, and if he wasn't activated already, he will be. He will play on Sunday. So let's go into the questionable aspects, or I see, in my opinion, that these players are questionable. One of them is officially, but I don't know about the others. Xavier McKinney, according to an unnamed NFL source, and that's really his Twitter name, the Giants are actually really expected to activate Xavier McKinney from the injured reserve list, and he's going to get some snaps on Sunday. I'm happy about that. I really want to see this kid thrive, except, obviously he has to adjust to the NFL level. He has to adjust to the system, and I'm just happy, to see him. He's going to get snaps increasing in the next couple of weeks, so we'll see what type of player he will be. O'Shane Ximines, I don't think he's coming back this week, to be honest with you. I haven't heard any reports or anything I would say recently on him, but I've been keeping my eye out. Tate Crowder, he was practicing today, I'm pretty sure. So it's going to be, I would say, in my opinion, questionable for Sunday, but I don't, in my opinion, expect them to activate him. Who knows, they might. They also need a third tight end, so we're going to actually talk about that as well because Caden Smith is on the COVID list with Matt Parrott and Dante Pettis. Those guys are going to be out for Sunday. And then you got Brandon Williams with an ankle injury. He's questionable, and I don't think he practiced today, so we'll see where that goes. But for the protections for this week on the practice squad, which really disappointed me, in my opinion, really, I wouldn't say disappointed, but I would say, I don't know. I just feel like they should have activated or at least protected a tight end because they had Kenny Wiggins, Carson Tinker, and Chad Slade. So, obviously you lose the offensive tackle. You're going with 5 receivers, actually maybe 4, because you got Tate, Shepard, Slayton, and Mack. And Board, too, so that's actually 5. Carson Tinker, obviously, I think they protected him just in case that Casey Kreider may have had COVID. He didn't, so he's protected just in case. As I said, they're not always going to pull every guy that they protect off the practice squad. Then you have Chad Slade, guard and tackle, so I would say, versatile offensive lineman. Is he good? He's just an average guy, backup. But I really wanted them to activate one of their tight ends. Rice and John is one of them. Other ones are Nate Weeding and Nakia Griffin-Stewart. So Nakia Griffin-Stewart, Rice and John, and I forgot, and Nate Weeding. That's the guy. So I don't know anything about the Stewart guy. Rice and John, obviously, a lot of people anticipated that he could be a tight end / wide receiver because he's a big, tall guy. It'd be interesting if they pull him, but again, you'd have to make like a roster move for that. And I'm pretty sure you still can make roster moves because Matt Parrott, Caden Smith, Pettis were put on the list, I think it was last week. Before Friday, obviously, I remember talking about it. And they didn't make any like transactional moves, I would say, in the other direction. So they put, basically what I'm saying is they didn't take anybody off the practice squad or sign anybody, but they did put them on the COVID list. So we'll see where that goes. But again, I really think that you should not be just rolling out with 2 tight ends. Listen, Joe Judge, he's a coach. I'm not, but I would rather have that insurance of having 2 tight ends because Ingram, he's not that good at blocking. We know this. And he's a pass catcher. We know this. And Levine Toilolo, he's not a pass catcher, but he's a run blocker. So We'll see what the Giants do with that. It's going to be interesting, in my opinion. So that's pretty much that situation and all the injuries and whatnot. So let's go on to Brandon Allen or Ryan Finley. I'm going to go through it. I'm not going to go through Finley's last year because I feel like it's a little bit irrelevant. I'm going to go over his stats where he faced Washington after Joe Burrow's injury, so I'm going to go over that in a second. But Brandon Allen could be the starting QB this week, according to Mike Garafolo. Honestly, the Giants should and should not be phased because, number one, obviously you're seeing a different quarterback. Joe Burrow, he would have put our defense to a test, in my opinion. But these two guys, Brandon Allen, he's only had 1 year of experience, same as much as Ryan Finley. I mean, Finley was drafted in 2019 in the 4th round. Brandon Allen was drafted in the 4th round in 2016, I believe. I think he was drafted by the Broncos, maybe, or another team that needed a quarterback. I don't know. But nonetheless, he only appeared in games for 1 year, and that was 2019 when Joe Flacco was injured. So let's take a look at Brandon Allen's stats game by game. He played in 3 games, won 1, lost 2. The Week 9 game, which was against Cleveland, they won 24-19, so he completed 12 passes, 20 total attempts. So they didn't, I guess, pass it a lot. Only 20 attempts, 60% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, 125.6 passer rating, and also 193 yards, 2 touchdowns. Sacked 3 times. No surprise there because the Bengals' offensive line last year and this year as well. Not very good. Next game, lost 27-23 in Minnesota. 17 for 39, 43.5% completion, 240 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So that's where, it started going down for him, I guess. 61.9 passer rating, 2 sacks, and that's pretty much it. Also, going back to the Cleveland game, he rushed about 5 times for 13 yards. In this game, he rushed 3 times for 18 yards, 6 per attempt. And look at the final game he started. I think it was before one of their other QBs took over. I think it was Drew Lock that took over at that point. Lost 20-3 to Buffalo. In Buffalo, 10 for 25, 40% completion, 82 yards, and 1 interception. So, and also to add, 32.4 passer rating, 4 sacks, and he ran the ball 2 times for 8 yards. So what do I expect about this, Brandon Allen or Ryan Finley? I'm going to get to Ryan Finley right now before I actually go to my points. So in the game against Washington, 3 completions, 10 attempts, 30% completion percentage, 30 yards. So that's about 10 per attempt, and 4 sacks for 31 yards. So obviously that Washington D-line got to them. And 1 rush for 19 yards. So my point is here, you're not going to see, in my opinion at least, just like they have been doing all year. Listen, they have Joe Mixon on IR. Giovanni Bernard is just coming back to practice this week. And they also have Samaje Perine and another running back. I don't know his name. I don't expect them to run a lot. Knowing that the Giants' defense is one of the best, I believe 6th in run defense this year. Great against the run. The pass defense is really going to try to get him. And Ryan Lewis, he's not coming back this week because we haven't heard a peep about him. Nonetheless, Isaac Yiadom, he's probably going to have another start. He did have a good start against the Eagles. Doesn't mean he's the best quarter in the league, but again, that's, I would say, an up compared to the downs he's had this season. Now, nonetheless, their receivers, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, A.J. Green. I'm going to review their stats in a little bit. Those are guys you should watch out for because, no matter the quarterback, I would say, again, one of the best rushing defenses. You don't have your primary number 1 back in Joe Mixon, and you get to utilize the weapons. C.J. Uzomah, he's not there. He tore his Achilles or ACL back, I think it was on Thursday Night Football, I want to say, against the Browns. Unfortunately, that happened, and good luck to him in his recovery. I don't know how that's going right now, so I can't tell you anything. So let's go into the stats here. Giants are 30th in total yards, and this is offense. I start out with offense, defense, and then the next team, offense, defense. 30th in total yards with 306.6 per game. Passing, they're 29th, 196.1 per game. Rushing, we've gotten better in the last couple of weeks. Obviously, the offensive line with Joe Judge, that whole situation. I'm not going to go into the drama again because that seems like a fucking broken record. Nonetheless, 110.5 per game, which is 19th. And then points, 19.5 per game. That's 30th. Defense here, 358.6. Total yards allowed per game, 16th. Passing yards allowed per game, that's 257.7, 24th. And then 6th in rushing, 100.9 allowed per game. And then 12th in points, 23.6 per game. Going to the Bengals, which are, I would say, not the greatest, but better offensively. Total yards, 20th. Passing yards, 16th. Rushing yards, 23rd. And points, 26th. So, obviously, they're not, bad as the Giants, but they could do a lot better than they are right now. And obviously, the change in quarterback is going to affect that. Don't tell me it's not. And then the defense, which is not very good, hasn't been for so many years now. I feel bad for Bengals fans, kind of, a little bit. Total yards are 26th. Passing yards, they're 22nd. That's 2 above the Giants, actually, unfortunately. Rushing yards, they are 30th. And points, they're 22nd. So, here we go with my keys to win. I'm going to point it out, and then I'm going to go into what players we should watch this week. So, let's start out with number 3. You need to get the rushing game and keep it going. Obviously, Alfred Morris, Dion Lewis, Wayne Gallman, those guys have been, pounding it in. The offensive line, obviously, has been doing a better job the last 2 weeks. Really, the last 3 because we're on a bye. But the last 2 games, they've been, doing a great job. And obviously, pulled up those stats a week or 2 ago. So, obviously, I know what I'm talking about. And, they've been managing fine without Saquon Barkley in the last 2 weeks. So, keep the rushing game going. They're 30th in rushing yards. I'm pretty sure that we could take advantage of that. It's not just, Daniel Jones passed the ball. Yes, their passing defense isn't good, but still. Second, defend the pass and get to Brandon Allen. As I mentioned before, this QB hasn't played in almost a year, actually over a year, and he's going to be with a very different team. Even if it's Ryan Finley, you still need to get to the quarterback, get the pressure, get the sack. Their offensive line isn't the greatest. Jonah Williams is the best there. They have a couple injuries on that offensive line, I'm pretty sure. So we'll see what happens with that. But, again, they're not going to be running the ball too much. Maybe 15, 20 rushes. That's maybe the most I could say for them, in my opinion. So defend the pass, get to Brandon Allen, and I would say don't underestimate the opposing QB. As I said, whether it's Brandon Allen, whether it's Ryan Finley, whether it's Jim Bob Cooter, whether it's Joe Schmo, the Giants have a ridiculous history of giving up so many points, so many yards to this, that, and the other person, a backup QB, blah, 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 blah. They've been that team in the past, even this year, because we saw how many injuries with the 49ers, Nick Mullins, he's the starting QB, Solomon Thomas and Nick Bosa are out. We're still going to do shit. What was the final score? 36-9. Couldn't score a touchdown. And I get, that was a premature thing, that was basically the preseason. But Nick Mullins is a starting quarterback. So, in my opinion, the Giants need to come into this game. And I know this is pretty much a standardized coaching perspective of things, even though I'm not a coach. Go in there with the same mentality, the same attitude, no matter who the QB is. Patrick Graham designed a scheme of set of plays that goes in, that takes away the receivers, pressures Brandon Allen, and you get more, I would say, productive drives out of the offense. Passing and rushing, by the way, but I see the Giants rushing it more than they are passing it, but then again, I could be wrong. So, as I said before, Giants have a history of really just, thinking, oh my God, it's a backup QB, we're going to go in there, we're going to crush him. No, because that's what you did against Nick Mullins. I mean, I don't know if they had that attitude, and pretty much a coaching aspect and a fan aspect is 2 different things. My opinion, and a biased fan aspect, I think we could crush Brandon Allen. But I know, in my heart, that if the Giants lose this game, it is not to be wowed about. Because they lost to Nick Mullins, to a pretty decimated, crippled, excuse my language, 49er team when they didn't have all their pieces. I would have liked to seen it with their full team, to be honest with you. Then again, it's Giants' luck, so they may just play better on that aspect. With this game, staying competitive is going to be the most but the least of it. Because, staying competitive, obviously, that's the key to every game coming out of the bye. Especially for the Giants, because Dallas lost. They gave us a gift. And in my opinion, Dallas is going to be that team, or something's going to happen this week, next week, or whatever, that Dallas obviously lost a game that they shouldn't have, but they're going to win a game that they shouldn't have. Or somebody else in the division is going to win a game they shouldn't have and make our lives harder. So we have to make their lives harder by winning this game. And let me tell you something. In my opinion, which should be a general statement throughout the fan base, if the Giants do not win this Sunday, and I'm not talking about ties either. Fuck ties. I think ties are stupid. If the Giants do not win this Sunday, you can forget all the division hopes. I'm sorry. Unless they, just win a game that they shouldn't have, or maybe they beat the Seahawks or something, you need a minimal 3 wins. That's my take. That's my take. Because, again, Dallas lost to Washington, they should have. Dallas lost to Washington, and they should not have. But I feel like just in case, you need that extra insurance game. That extra win. That just in case Dallas wins a game they shouldn't have, or maybe against the Ravens, or I don't know, any other team, that you need that extra game of insurance to say, okay, we're in the playoffs. So, and going back to my point about staying competitive, the motto can't just be stay competitive. Yes, again, I'm going to be a broken record throughout this episode. Yes, that is so the theme throughout the rest of the season. But if the Giants lose to a quarterback who has not started in a year, who just got brought off the practice squad, you can't tell me, oh, they stayed competitive. No, I don't want any excuses. People like to criticize the Giants. People like to stay soft on the Giants. I'm the middle. I will criticize them when I should, and I will defend them when I should. But if you lose this game on Sunday, you won't hear me talk about the division. I might sneak peek it. I might say, okay, maybe this thing will happen. You won't hear me talking about it. I won't say, oh, the Giants, they still have a chance in the division. I will have my hopes. But I'm not going to screech as loud as I am right now. Because the Giants are the best team in this division, and I don't care what other people say. They have to show through these next 6 games that they're the best team in the division this year, and they will be next year. With free agency and draft. That's that. And the evolution of Joe Judge, because I have a hell of a lot of confidence in that guy. So, let's go to players to watch. Carl Lawson. He's been the best pass rusher for them this year. A total of 28 pressures, 4.5 sacks, 14 quarterback knockdowns, 9 hurries, sent on 4 blitzes. But again, primarily rushing the passer. Lou Arenamo, or whatever his name is the defensive coordinator. For a lot of Giant fans that remember, in 2018, he was the defensive backs coach, and then he took the job in Cincinnati last year, so we did not see him. I forget who replaced him, though. I don't remember. Tyler Boyd. He's been pretty much outstanding this season, as other seasons, obviously, and had a 100-yard game against the Eagles, had a 100-yard game against the Browns that, really crushing loss for them, but a good win for the Browns, 37-34, and total on the season this year, if I could take a look, I actually don't have it with me right now. Oh, wait, yes, I do. 69 receptions, 710 yards, and 3 touchdowns, 10.3 yards per reception. You look at A.J. Green. He hasn't had, prime A.J. Green stats, but he's had some decent stats. I thought that he would totally just sink. No, 96 receiving yards against the Colts. The Colts are one of the top defensive teams in the NFL right now. Against Cleveland in that other game that I was just talking about with Tyler Boyd, 82 receiving yards. He's pretty much their second receiver, third receiver now. Because T. Higgins is probably going to get more and more, I would say, receptions. But nonetheless, you keep him in there. He's a solid option. 35 receptions, 357 yards, and only one touchdown. That came in the game against Washington. William Jackson, their number one corner. Obviously, if you listen to PFF grades, they give him like a 67, but he's had really decent stats. I would say a little bit similar to Bradbury, but I think Bradbury has been more physical on the ball. Pass deflections being one of those stats. So he's allowed 29 completions on 50 targets, 418 yards. That's a 58% completion percentage, 14.4 yards per completion, 8.4 yards per target, and 3 touchdowns, 96.9 passer rating. So obviously, the yards per completion could get better. So can the touchdowns if he wants to be a lockdown corner. So let's go into Jesse Bates, who is one of the most underrated safeties, in my opinion, because I don't hear, constant talk, oh, Jesse Bates is this, Jesse Bates is that. I think he's really good just comparing to, like, the coverage stats. But then again, I don't know how he is in the run game. 46.2 completion percentage against 12 completions on 26 targets, 115 yards only, 9.6 yards per completion, 4.4 per target, and 2 touchdowns. 45 passer rating. This has to be the best season of his career. He was an undrafted free agent in 2018. Then 2019, I would say he regressed a little bit, in my opinion. The stats don't really show it here, except the passer rating and the touchdowns, but he's really improved this year. But unfortunately, a team is a team. You can't just say, oh, I have this stat, that stat. It's not Odell Beckham Jr. or Saquon Barkley. Your stats are one thing. The team is another. And I'm not saying, Jesse Bates is selfish and everything. But unfortunately, the Bengals, the whole organization doesn't know how to surround their team with a defensive piece. And I don't know if it's on Anarumo or, I'm not a Bengals fan, so I don't keep track. I don't know if it's on Anarumo. I don't know if it's on, the head coach. I don't know if it's on the freaking GM. But for the last couple of years, the Bengals, ever since Marvin Lewis left, have been a shit show. And I know they were rebuilding, this, that, and the other thing, but they just been an irrelevant team for the past couple of years. But then again, what are the Giants? I just think that the Giants are better in the front office. And Jonah Williams, I don't have the stats on him as well, but he has only allowed 1 sack this season, even though he's had better minimal snaps in his time. Even though he's, had some games where he's out 2 injuries. So pretty much that's what I have to say. Even though this seems like a short podcast episode, it is. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. And keep supporting us. Twitter, Instagram, Big Blue in the Bronx, YouTube channel. If we win, you'll see me on Cop Pizzle's live stream at some point, because I always end up getting on there. Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, Overcast, Castbox, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio. Let's hope for a win on Sunday. And as I said, this is very seemingly like a trap game. In my opinion, it is. But the Giants have to not trap themselves in a trap game. They have to be competitive, number one, and they have to stay in the game. They have to win, but they have to have the lead the whole game, in my opinion. Because you can't be having these chills during the game. Oh my God, are the Giants going to lose? No. I had my separate thoughts about that in the Eagle game. But the Giants had the lead the whole time. They knew what they were doing. Defense made some stops at some points, even though the rushing game for the Eagles was very explosive. We saw that a lot of times. Boston Scott, the 56-yard touchdown. But still, you have to be in the game 100%. We saw that most of the first half of the season. The Giants would play 2 quarters, and they would shit the rest. So in this game, when you're up for a playoff spot, and I don't care, as I stated before on the podcast, I don't care if the Giants win the division and they go and be a one-and-done team. Because it shows that the team is competitive and they're ready for football. Yes, they may not make the Super Bowl, but again, this was a year where the Giants were not supposed to be good, where they were supposed to be growing and developing. Not many people expected the defense to be this good. Not many people expected for the Giants to manage without Saquon. So, defied expectations, and listen, it's gonna be a journey next 6 games, and to end this off, pretty much, it's not about what your division looks like. It's not about how crappy the teams in your division are. It's about what team represents them going to the playoffs. Thank you guys for watching, listening, and by the way, I'm doing a stream on Sportscaster around 12:15, 12:20 on Sunday before the game. Thank you guys, and let's go Giants.